Hello, darlings. My name is Valentina Matroni, for those of you who don't know me. I am a rising fantasy author. I gained most of my following on TikTok from posting My Hero Academia related things, and I am also a fantasy author, which those of you who follow me from TikTok, you know that I've been talking about this book for a while, and I'm finally getting it published. So excited. But today, I'm going to be walking you through my continent, Kavadan. In Kavadan, there are 3 worldly sectors. There's Sector 1, Adir, spelled this way. Sector 2, Emer, spelled this way. And Sector 3, Deidamia, spelled this way. So, I'm going to be walking you through each individual sector. There are 9 tribes total, and there are 3 tribes to a sector, if that makes sense. So I'm going to be walking you through each of them. So Sector 1, Adir, there are 3 tribes, as I've said, assigned to this. There's Darya, the Water Tribe. There's Neve, the Ice Tribe. And there's Raijin, the Storm Tribe. So each of these have their own, water and ice. You can kind of see how those correlate, but you might not see how lightning and, storms correlate with that. But I only thought of, when water interacts with lightning, it's not the best experience for those on the receiving end of that. So those are the 3 tribes of that one. So I will be talking about these individually. Let's start with Darya. So for some background reference, before Governor Sidero was in control of Kavadan, the people had free control of their abilities. Now for Darya, the Water Tribe, their abilities, what they used to be able to do, they can manipulate water and use it however they please. They can shoot a strand of water out 10 yards far, and compared to others, they can hold their breaths for extended periods of time. If they're in a humid climate, they can take that humidity and convert it into water. So those are some of their abilities. Anything other than, if I were a Daryan and I shoot water at you, let's just say I have free range of my abilities and I shoot water at you. It can only go 10 yards far. So if you look at a football field, you can measure how far that is. Some of their weaknesses. So they don't do well in dry climates unless they have water in a container with them. So if they had water in a canister, they would be able to use that. But only that amount of water. They can't usually make water unless water is nearby and they call it to them. Only very powerful Daryans were able to manipulate water beyond what their abilities are. Heat is dangerous to them, and if they're dehydrated, they can become very sick. If they use their abilities in cold climates, sometimes it will freeze and they won't be able to manipulate it anymore, which is why they tend to be with Nevaeans, which is the Ice Tribe. Nevaeans, if they use water and it freezes, the Nevaeans can use it, basically. So their appearance. Appearance. Okay, whatever. Their natural hair colors, so if you look at humans, in this non-fantasy world, if you look at humans, most natural hair colors are what's most common with Daryans, but sometimes they can be born with blue hair like the ocean, or if they have hair colors that reflect the colors of the coral reefs, usually reds, oranges, yellows, pinks, and purples. They usually have blue eyes or brightly colored eyes. So, I will mention this here. Humanoids are something common in Kavadan, or they used to be. Humanoids breeded with humans and elves, and that just kept, through generations, to the point where some humans have humanoid characteristics, if that makes sense. So gray skin is common in most parts of everywhere. Gray skin. All of their skin tones, of course, in our world, but gray skin is something that also happens in Kavadan because of humanoids from the past being breeded with humans and elves. So their current leader, the Daryans' current leader, is Talia Nimue. She is, oh my goodness, her character design, I would love to show it, but it's not my art. It's just it's an idea of what she looks like. She's so beautiful. And then their Titan, so there are Titans in my book. Titans are the guardians of, like, the land. So the Titan for Darya is Jabez, the Prowling Wave. And Jabez is something called a Mishi Peshu. I think I'm saying that wrong. Don't quote me on that. But a Mishi Peshu is, I forget what kind of folklore it is. It's something already existing. But it is like it's a sea animal, but it's also like very feline. So it's a feline sea animal, and it's huge. Huge. So Jabez is much larger than other Mishi Peshus in the book. So there are Mishi Peshus in the book about the regular sizes of what they would be, and the Jabez is much larger than that. Alright, that is all of Darya. Now we're moving on to Neve. So Neve is the Ice Tribe. So some of their abilities are they can create ice from water or snow, and typically carry water jugs with them, like Daryans do. Neveans can create ice spikes, which can be used as spears. They can survive in negative 35 degree weather, Fahrenheit, negative 35 degree Fahrenheit weather, and not feel cold at all. That's just what they can do. And some of their weaknesses, they can't stand in 110 degrees Fahrenheit weather for more than an hour. So most of them stay out away from Idalia, which is, I will mention, that's the tribe of fire, and I will mention that one much later. They can't withstand negative 60 degree weather. If they use too much ice, their bodies will freeze. So there are drawbacks to most abilities with every tribe. There are going to be a lot of drawbacks. So their appearance, they usually have white, pale blue, or sometimes blonde hair, and their eyes are usually white or blue. Their current leader is Polaris Isolde. I'm probably saying that wrong. I got the name off Pinterest, so. And their Titan is Akar, the Destruction. I forgot what Akar looks like. The last tribe of Adir, the Sector 1 Adir, is Raijin, the Storm Tribe. So, some of Raijin's, I don't know how I'm going to say Raijin people. Like, for Darya, I say Daryans, and for Neves, I say Neveans. I'm not sure how I'm going to say Raijin. But Raijin, so people from Raijin, they can harness energy from their bodies or storm clouds and channel electricity through their bodies. So, kind of like what you see in Avatar The Last Airbender when Zuko, is able to manipulate lightning, it, channels through him. I think that's right. I haven't seen Avatar in a long time. So, yeah, they can basically do that, but they have to be very careful, obviously, or else it'll, get to their heart. I got a lot of my inspiration from abilities and stuff from Avatar The Last Airbender, but, yeah. So, they can launch lightning bolts out about 10 feet away from themselves, and any further, they won't have control over it. So, if it goes out 10 feet more, say I'm from Raijin, I launch out a lightning bolt over 10 feet, say it's just 11 feet, I have no more control over it, and it can go anywhere. It can completely fire back at me, it can hurt a comrade, anything. So weaknesses, they sometimes burn themselves with their own lightning from overusing it, and using it for too long might electrocute them in certain situations. So for their appearance, they can have any color hair, but gold and blonde are most common. So their hair can be, so that's one of my characters, Lucius Hadon, one of our antagonists. He is Sister Sakiri's general. He has golden hair. I guess you could say blonde, but it's more golden than anything else. And, they have golden or bright yellow eyes. So, anyone from Raijin, you're gonna see they can only have golden eyes, pretty much. Bright yellow is basically golden, I guess, but you would be able to tell if someone's from Raijin. So their current leader is Vishan Ragnar, and their Titan is Basar the Farsighted. So something about Basar, he circles the entirety of Raijin, the tribe, and he basically kills any intruders. So if you're traveling there just to do trade, you have to go as quick as you can to the city walls, because if you don't, Basar will kill you if he makes his way around quick enough. That is all of Adir, and now I'm going to talk to you about Sector 2, Emer. So in Emer, there is Neiryn, the tribe of light, Dhara, the earth tribe, and Zephyr, the wind tribe. Alright, I'm going to talk to you guys about Neiryn, the tribe of light. So for abilities, they can blind opponents with bright beams of light that they can shoot from any part on their arms. So their whole arm up from their shoulder down to their very fingertips. They can shoot out light beams from their arms. The light can be hot if they shoot it for long enough. They can shoot it out 100 yards, but they have to stop sooner than that, or it will take up too much energy and they'll be left, basically, what's the word? The word is this. Alright. So weaknesses. They are weak in darkness. That is the most obvious thing. They're weak in darkness. They can still use light, though it will be very faint if they're in darkness. So if they shoot it continuously for more than a minute, they burn out all their light. So obviously they will be defenseless. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Defenseless. These are typically weaker fighters, so they're more trained with swords than anything. So for their appearance, their hair is usually white, though very few have a variety of light hair colors. Think of pastel hair colors. Their eyes are usually golden, and they tend to have elf ears. So these people tend to be elves, I would say. And their current leader is Urith Mincy. And I love Urith, and I'm going to talk about them so much in my book eventually. Probably around the third book. Is it the third? Yeah, it's the third book. And then the Titan is Roshani, the Peacemaker. I forgot what Roshani looks like, but Roshani is very cool, I will say. Alright, next is Darya, the Earth Tribe. One of my personal favorites, probably because it is loosely inspired off of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you think of what Toph can do. It's basically, those people could have done that before Governor Sidero was in control. I have a lot on this tribe, so take notes. None of you guys are going to take notes. I only get 10 views. But that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate you 10 viewers. Alright. So the abilities of Darans, I think that's how to say it. I wrote it. I should know how to say it, but I don't. Of Darans, they are usually born with the ability to manipulate Earth, consisting of the ground or nature, consisting of a variety of plants or rarely both. So through intense training, they can learn how to manipulate the earth, which is the ground, and nature, which is plants and stuff. So you're either born in Dhara, you are either born as an earth manipulator or a nature manipulator. So I'm going to start with the earth manipulators. They can bring up the ground and create structures with that, however, it usually cannot detach from that. So you can't, make a spear and, pull it off the ground. You can't do that like Nevaeans can do. So think of what Toph can do, and earth manipulators can basically do that. They usually use this to bring themselves up off the ground, elevate themselves, and they can trap opponents within the ground. So say you're, standing here, all the ground can just cave up and trap you. So weaknesses for the earth manipulators. They cannot bring up the ground too high, or the base of the ground that they stand on will crumble and they'll fall. Around the ocean, they can't do anything and usually rely on man-made weapons. In man-made structures, they are nearly powerless. So that is going to come up a lot in the book, because Verkus Ambrose, my main guy, basically can do this. He's an earth manipulator. Because he's an Adiel, and I did not explain what Adiels were in my last video. I'm going to explain what Adiels are at the very end of this video or in another video. Alright, so nature manipulators. They can make plants grow at extremely fast rates. They can manipulate stuff like vines to get themselves around, kind of like riding them, That's weird. But it's okay. They can get on a vine and, like, stand on it, and then they go, wee, you know? Anyways, they can only go about 40 yards far. From the base of it. They may create a new one. Say I'm over here, I go 40 yards far, I can create a new one, hop to that one. And their weaknesses, they are weak in dry, hot, or cold climates. They can't use their abilities too well and in this situation, and they can become very dehydrated in dry or hot climates. So their appearances. The appearances cover all earth manipulators and nature manipulators. This is back to the whole Dhara as a whole. All of them have a similar appearance. They have dark green, brunette, black, or dark red hair. They are elves. Most of them are elves. So Neiryn and Darya, those two tribes are mainly elven people. And their eyes are usually amber, brown, green, or blue. Their current leader is Melantha Ergren. I'm going to put that right there because I don't know how to say her last name. And their titan is Elvi, the white-scaled beast. And I will say this. Elvi is one of the most annoying things to ever exist. I'm going to say that and leave you wondering because that is something for the second book. All right, that covers Dhara. Now for the last tribe of Emer, Zephyr, the wind tribe. Okay, so for abilities of Zephyr, they can make their bodies extremely light so they can become cloud-like. This helps if, say, someone from Zephyr was injured, they can still manipulate their body to become very light so people can carry them up and out of the battlefield. Depending on their experience, they can levitate themselves. They also have control over the wind currents and can push opponents or objects 50 yards far and 30 yards high. Their weaknesses. So if they're not careful when levitating themselves or something through the air, it can fire back at them with greater force, knocking them or the object against the ground. Dry climates affect them a lot. Okay, so for their appearance. They usually have light-colored hair and it's very lightweight. So they don't have very, thick hair, if that makes sense. Their eyes are usually pale colors, such as blue or brown, and as they grow old, their eyes can go white, gray, if not already white. Their current leader is Notus Kadok, and their titan is Ariea of the Winds. And that covers all of Emer. So now we're going to the final sector, Sector 3, Deidamia. So Deidamia consists of Idalia, the fire tribe, Zylah, the shadow tribe, and Ariea, the sound tribe. We are going to start with Idalia, the tribe of fire. So for abilities, they can shoot fire from their palms and rarely their mouths. So think of a fire-breathing dragon. They used to be able to do that. Though if they shoot it from their mouths, they put themselves at risk of losing their sense of taste. If the fire is shot at a specific rate, it can become blue. They can take fire from nearby and add it to their own. They have better heat resistance and can last in 120 degree Fahrenheit, without breaking a sweat. So, weakness. Humid or cold climates make it extremely hard for them to use their abilities and can cause them to become very sick. So by using fire too much, they can overheat. Even though that's typically very rare, or was rare before Sidero came into reign. The appearances of Idalians, they usually have gray or black hair, and rarely they can have orange or red hair. Their eye colors can be any color as long as it's at its brightest, so bright green. Bright blue is not as common, but they can have bright blue eyes. And their eyes do tend to be red or orange, I will say. So the current leader of Idalia, I need to mention this. When I say current leaders, I mean the current leaders as of when the book starts. So even if Sidero is in reign, these characters that I'm saying as leaders are their leaders. So their leader is Ruckus Aldrich. So Ruckus is one of our examples of having orange or red hair. Her hair is like fire. Like, not actual fire, but like her hair is like bright colors. And their titan is Kanina the Flame. So the next tribe is Zylah, the Shadow Tribe. Alright, so for abilities of Zylanians. I don't know. I need to work on that. So for their abilities, they can cover themselves and their surroundings in darkness. They can cover up to 15 yards out in the shadows. During this time, it is incredibly hard for their opponent to see them. So basically, if I'm from Zylah and I cover myself in a shadow, you cannot see me. And they can cover themselves in shadows, and all things will go through them, basically, making them impossible to hit unless you hit a weak spot. There are weak spots. I forgot where they are, but I know where they are because I wrote it in my book somewhere. So weaknesses. Light cancels their abilities completely. Their weak spots are in... Oh, I found the weak spots. Their weak spots are in the back of their head or their left side by the rib cage. They can't use their shadows for over 30 minutes or they will be revealed. Appearance. They usually have black or dark brown hair that sometimes looks misty. Sometimes. Not all the time. They have dark eyes and with colors of black, gray, brown, or white. Their current leader is Emer Castamont, and the titan is Cascree the Shadow Skull. Ariea the Sound Tribe. So, abilities. They can cancel out sounds in all areas that they can hear. They have to hear the sound to be able to cancel it out, including sounds that they make, such as breaking, talking, and walking. They can cancel those out completely. A group of them would cancel out all sounds in a whole tribe if spread out far enough. They have to be a certain distance from each other, surrounding the entire tribe, to cancel out all the sound in that tribe. Sometimes they can manipulate sound waves and send them out at opponents, but usually they have to blare loud sounds in their opponent's ears. So, weaknesses. If they use their abilities to create loud sounds, sometimes the sounds can come back to them and blare in their ears much louder. Whenever they bring back sound to the setting too fast, it also blares in their ears unexpectedly. So, this puts them at risk of hearing loss. So, sometimes Arians, I guess, that sounds terrible, Arians, can go deaf. They typically go deaf at an older age, though. If they are in windy weather, their sound can completely be washed out. They won't have control over it. Appearance. Their appearance differs, so they don't have a usual appearance. They are like people of Vivranata, which I will go over in another video. Their current leader is Neiryn, and the titan is Imelda the Sound-Minded. See what I did there? See what I did there? Alright, that's all I wanted to go over. I'm going to make a separate video on what Adiel are, but other than that, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in my book, I will eventually have somewhere where you can go add it to your wish list on Amazon, or just pick it up on Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. Have a wonderful day.